Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in again. My name is Jennifer Meyer, and this is Consider Jennifer. This channel has been on a little bit of an evolution the last several years, and as I referenced briefly in my last video, I'm playing around with another pivot on it. Kind of what I'm looking to do is take some of the content that I'm doing long form on LinkedIn and on my website and bring it into a space where I can show just a little bit more of a different side of my personality and reflect on that in a very personal way to give you guys a little bit more insight into me and how my brain works. So think of this as Consider Jennifer Raw. You can think of it like that. And in my article this last month on LinkedIn, I talked a lot about engagement and why people are not engaging, because it continues to come up in all the rooms that I go into. And I have been in a lot of rooms this past quarter, chamber rooms and SHRM rooms and employee resource group rooms, and folks everywhere just trying to figure out, like, what is going on? Why is nobody showing up? Why is nobody showing up? We do everything we can. We're doing everything that they say they want, and nobody comes in. What is going on? In my framework, one of the very first things that I talk about is stability and the importance of leading yourself through stability. And this is why. Because, at least in part, a lot of the time, folks don't show up because they are effing tired. Like, burnt out, have nothing left in the tank. There is nothing left to give. They are exhausted. And I want you to just take a step back and think about that for a minute. Is that not true for you? God knows it's true for me. It happens often, and I have to remind myself I've gotten off track. It's amazing what a person doesn't know to do when they are maxed out emotionally and physically and mentally. It's just amazing. The most significant example of this that I can explain from my own life, something that I still continue to have to remind myself to show myself grace about, is how I supported my children when they were younger after my son was diagnosed with autism. Now, early on, when my children were young, I divorced. And so I was a single mom trying to figure out how to make everything happen. I had a job, I was kids to school, packing lunches, making dinner, all the things. And everything that I had in me was focused on those things. Making sure kids were fed, making sure bedtime was happening, making sure I was showing up at work in a way that I could so that I didn't get fired because I needed to continue to feed my kids. Like, that was my whole world. And I did a good job in those areas. I hit all of those metrics, and I was able to manage and get everything taken care of. But what I wasn't able to do was think beyond what else could I do that might enhance, improve, make better, support. Like, none of that was on the table. And one of the most important areas where that showed up was actually helping my daughter learn how to communicate well with her brother. It was just something I didn't have time to think about. And looking back on it now, it feels like the most obvious freaking thing in the world. Like, really, who doesn't think of that? But it happens, y'all. We're maxed out. We're at capacity. And I did a damn good job as a mom in that moment, trying to figure stuff out and just get us through the day. But I was so overextended. I wasn't able to think to do the next step. I was too busy keeping the plates in the air and making sure that nothing dropped. And that is the kind of exhaustion that I'm talking about when it comes to why are people not showing up at work, or why are people not engaging outside of their homes. Like, because we are all overextended. There's so much noise, there's so much polarity, there's so much discontent, there's so much AI Our news feeds are full of it. We cannot escape it. And regardless of whether or not folks are aware of how they're responding to it with stress, it does impact your nervous system. And when your nervous system is highly activated, it is difficult to think creatively, proactively. Engagement goes out the window in moments like that because people just aren't stable. People aren't just taking a beat to take a step back and reflect and think about, what am I doing? Are these my real priorities? Is this where I really want to spend my time? Is this the most effective place for me to be? What can I do? So many questions that can come up in there, but we don't give ourselves the opportunity to even evaluate it because we're just moving so fast. And look, it happens all the time. I'm coming out of another season where I have just realized, Jenny, you're moving too damn fast. Slow your roll. Slow your roll, Jennifer. I miss the point when I am not focused on my stability. I get lost in the task instead of remembering why it is that the task is important to me. And when we do that, not only does it keep us from being able to engage with those tasks at a high level, but it keeps us from also being able to see the impact of our behavior in the environments that we show up on or in. So that article in March is really an invitation for leaders first to ask themselves, have you provided the necessary space for people to be able to decompress? And when I mean space, not that they need to have nap time at work, although that would be awesome. I'm talking about, do we understand that people are moving at a pace that is necessary for their nervous system? Are we recognizing that? Do we understand that that's real? And if you are an individual who's getting home and all you want to do is stare at walls, like nothing else matters, you're kind of in this brain foggy place, that is an indication for you to take your hands off the keyboard for half a beat and do some time considering some things. Consider some things. Consider your life is a real phrase. Push the pause button and just ask yourself some simple questions. What am I doing and why is a good place to start. Ask yourself, am I really engaged with the things that I am doing? Are the things that I am doing what I need and want to do? And am I doing it at the level I really want to do it at? And if you can say yes to all of those questions, fantastic. But that's what keeps some of us from being able to engage well, because we are all literally just tapped out. We have nothing left. So consider this an opportunity to consider your life so that you can go be on purpose with the kind of engagement it is that you want to be doing in your home and at work, because you've got one life. And how intensely and purposefully you decide to put yourself into it is when you are going to have the most fun, the most peace, the most relaxing, the most success, the most achievement. Pick the word. That's what it's going to happen for you in an easier way. So, stability, relax, ask the questions. Make sure you consider your life, guys. Be on purpose. Later.